The girl from nowhere, it was a quiet night on Earth's secret military base deep under the mountains. The stars above were calm. No one expected anything strange. But then, the sky tore open. A burning ship came crashing down. Alarms started, screaming. Soldiers ran outside. The huge metal ship hit the ground like thunder. Fire and smoke filled the air. General Rain, the top commander of Earth's military, arrived at the crash site. He wore a black coat and cold eyes. Nothing scared him. But even he paused when he saw the wreckage. The ship was alien. It wasn't from Earth. Its design was strange, sharp and smooth, glowing with blue lines. "Check for survivors," Rain ordered. Soldiers moved in with guns ready. Most of the ship was destroyed. Bodies were everywhere. Alien bodies. Tall, silver-skinned, and dead. But then a sound came. A cry. A baby's cry. In the center of the wreckage, in a small glowing pod, was a baby girl. She had dark hair, glowing eyes, and she wasn't crying anymore. She was staring straight at the general. "Sir, what do we do with her?" a soldier asked. General Rain didn't answer. He simply picked her up in his arms. "She's not a threat," he said. "She's a weapon." Years later, her name was Nova. No one knew where she really came from, only that the general had raised her. Inside Earth's top military base called Black Rock, Nova wasn't like other kids. She didn't go to school. She trained with soldiers. She learned hand-to-hand combat at age 6. By 10, she could outshoot trained snipers. At 13, she broke a military combat robot with her bare hands. The soldiers whispered when she passed by. "She's not normal. She doesn't feel pain. Is she even human?" But Nova didn't care. She just followed orders. That's what she was taught: obey, train, win. Still, deep inside, she wanted answers. Who was she? Why was she different? The general never told her much, only that she was found in a crash, that her life was a secret, that she belonged to Earth now. One night, Nova couldn't sleep. She walked through the dark halls of Black Rock. Something was pulling her, like a voice in her head. She passed guards, cameras, and locked doors. She reached a cold metal wall. With a handprint scanner, she placed her hand on it. Click. The door opened. Inside, she found an old room filled with files, dusty computers, and strange lights. A single screen lit up. It showed a video. A woman with glowing silver skin and kind eyes. She looked like one of the aliens from the crash. She was holding a baby. "My daughter. If you see this, it means I didn't make it," the woman said. "But you must know, you are more than human. You are hope." Nova's heart raced. The woman had her eyes. Her voice sounded familiar. Was that her mother? Then she saw something else. A file labeled Project Nova. She opened it. Inside were records. DNA scans. Test results. The truth. Nova wasn't just human. Her DNA was mixed with alien genes. She was created, built to be stronger, faster, smarter. A living weapon. Suddenly, red lights flashed. Alert, incoming attack. Alarms screamed across the base. Soldiers ran to their stations. Ships rose into the sky. Nova stood frozen, still staring at the screen. On the camera feed, huge alien warships appeared above Earth's orbit. They were not like the crash ship. These ones were ready for war. One message repeated on all channels: return, the child, or perish. Nova looked up. Her heart pounded. They were looking for her. First blood. The room was shaking. Red lights flashed. Sirens wailed like screaming ghosts. But Nova wasn't moving. She stood still in front of the old screen. The message echoed in her ears. Return the child, or perish. She was the child. The girl Earth had hidden for 18 years. 3 hours later, Black Rock Base was no longer a secret. It was now a target. The alien ships had entered Earth's orbit. Satellite defense systems fired, but the enemy was smart, fast, powerful. Inside the command center, soldiers shouted orders. Screens showed chaos in space. General Rain stood in the middle of it all, calm, focused. "Put her in the field," he said. Everyone turned to him. "Sir?" asked Commander Hasker. "She's never seen real combat." "She was made for it," Rain said. "It's time." On the dropship Nova sat quietly in the corner. Her armor was new, black and sharp, made just for her. Her hands were steady, but her mind was storming. Why now? Why were the aliens after her? And why did part of her feel drawn to them? Across from her, a squad of soldiers watched her like she was a bomb. "Keep your eyes forward," barked their captain. "This is a rescue mission, 5 hostages, alien scout ship in and out." Nova looked up. "Do we know what kind of aliens?" The captain narrowed his eyes. "The kind that don't leave survivors." The dropship doors opened. Wind roared. In the ground was below. Burned trees, wrecked cars, a smoking crash site. "Move!" the captain shouted. The squad jumped. Nova jumped last. On the ground, the scout ship had crashed in a forest. It was quiet, but too quiet. The team moved fast, guns ready, eyes sharp. Nova walked at the front. She didn't ask. She just knew the way. "Hold up," a soldier whispered. "How does she—" Before he could finish, Nova raised her hand. "They're close." Suddenly the trees exploded with movement. Aliens charged out, 6 of them, tall and armored. Screeching, fast, deadly. Bullets flew. Beams of light lit the forest. 2 soldiers were hit. Nova didn't shoot. She ran straight at them. One alien swung a blade, too slow. She ducked, twisted, and broke its arm with a crack. Another aimed a blaster, too late. She kicked it into a tree so hard the trunk split. Her movements were perfect, inhuman. The squad watched in shock as she tore through the enemy with no fear. When the last alien fell, the captain stared at her. "What are you?" he whispered. Inside the ship. The hostages were alive, scared but safe. Nova led them out, but then stopped. She turned. Something was calling her. At the back of the alien ship, she found a small room. A strange light glowed inside. One alien was still alive, barely. It looked up at her. Its eyes widened. "You?" it said in a weak voice. "You are the daughter." Nova stepped closer. "What do you mean?" "Your blood. It belongs to both. You are not weapon. You are bridge." The alien coughed. "They're coming, not to destroy, to take you back." Then it died. Back at Black Rock, the mission was a success. Nova returned a hero. The soldiers didn't say anything. They just looked at her with fear and respect. In the war room, General Rain watched the replay footage. Nova, fighting like no human ever could. "I trained her," he said quietly. "But I didn't create her." His eyes narrowed. "This war is not about territory," he said. "It's about her." He knew now. Earth was just the battlefield. Nova was the prize. Truth in the Shadows, 13 seconds. That's how long Nova stood alone in the hallway outside the general's office. The door had just shut behind her. She had saved lives. She had fought like no human could. But behind that door, Earth's leaders were arguing about her. Not with thanks, with fear. In a high-level meeting room, General Rain faced 4 top officials. They all looked angry, nervous. One slammed his hand on the table. "She's not one of us." Another added, "She may look human, but we both know what she really is. You saw the footage. She didn't even hesitate." Rain didn't blink. "She did what none of your elite soldiers could do." The oldest member, a gray-haired woman with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "She's not a soldier," she said coldly. "She's a question mark. And in a war like this, question marks get people killed." Outside, Nova could hear them through the wall, every word. That night, Nova didn't sleep. She sat in the shadows of her room, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Something inside her was changing. A voice. A pull. a whisper from deep in her blood. She knew there was more. More about the crash. More about her mother. More about the secret no one wanted to tell her. So, she made a choice. She broke into the archive. The archive was hidden under level 9 of Black Rock. Few even knew it existed. Nova moved like a shadow. Cameras didn't see her. Doors opened for her, without her touching them, almost like the base knew her. She found the old servers, locked files, dusty recordings. She typed one word: Project Nova, access denied. She tried again. Hybrid origin, access granted. The screen lit up with files, thousands of them. Experiments, failed tests, human subjects, alien subjects, mixed DNA, accidents, deaths and one success. Subject 09XNV. Codename, Nova. Her file opened. There she saw it. A genetic blueprint. 60% human, 40% alien. Notes from scientists. Some called her a miracle. Others called her a weapon. Then a video file blinked. Play? She clicked. The screen showed a man and a woman. The man was in a uniform. Young, brave, kind eyes. The woman was not human. Silver skin, glowing eyes. The same eyes Nova saw in the mirror. They were holding a baby. Nova. We'll hide her on Earth, the man said. She'll be safe there. If she grows up with humans, the woman added. She may be the one who stops this war. The man kissed the baby. No matter what they say, she's not a weapon. The video ended. Nova's hands shook. Her parents were real. Not just files, not just myths, but Earth had buried them. Suddenly, footsteps. Alarms didn't go off, but Nova felt them coming. Soldiers. She grabbed a data chip, took the files, and vanished into the dark halls before they could catch her. In General Rain's quarters, an alert buzzed. Rain tapped a tablet. Someone accessed the archive. The screen showed a red dot moving fast. Nova. He didn't call the guards. He didn't move. He just whispered, "She knows." Nova escaped to the top of the base. There, under the night sky, she stood on the edge of the cliff. The stars above were quiet, but she wasn't. Her mind raced. Her chest burned. Her past was a lie, but her path was now clear. Somewhere in deep space, inside a dark alien warship, a council gathered. A strange figure spoke in a deep voice. "She has awakened," another answered. "Then we must bring her home, before the humans turn her into a monster." Their ships changed direction. They were no longer looking to invade. They were coming to reclaim. Enemy at the gate. It began with silence. No sirens, no alarms, just a single power failure in orbit. One by one, Earth's satellites went dark. Then the sky broke open. At Earth's moon base, soldiers stared in frozen horror. A fleet, black, silent, endless, slid out of the stars like a shadow swallowing the light. They didn't shoot. The didn't send a message. They just moved closer. Inside the base, an old technician whispered, "That's not an invasion force. That's a funeral fleet." Back on Earth, in the war room at Black Rock, the generals argued. "Launch everything," one screamed. "We strike first." "No," said another. "They're not attacking yet. Maybe they want to talk." General Rain stayed quiet until Nova walked in. All eyes turned to her. Her armor shimmered black and silver now. Not standard issue. Custom. Alive. She didn't salute. She didn't wait. "They're not here to talk," she said. "They're here for me." In orbit, Earth's defense systems came online. Lasers, drones, warships. Everything pointed up. Nova stood on the launch deck of the moon base, staring at the enemy fleet through the glass. Thousands of ships. Larger than anything Earth had built. And she felt something strange. Familiarity. Not in her mind, but in her blood. "Nova," Rain said through comms. "You don't have to face this alone." I was made to face this, she replied. The first strike, it happened fast. One alien ship fired a pulse. It didn't hit anything. It just turned off Earth's outer defenses. Like flipping a switch, panic broke out. Nova took control. Squads to defense lines, fighters to hangars. I want eyes on every entrance. The officers hesitated. She raised her voice. That's an order. This time they obeyed. She wasn't just a soldier now. She was the leader. The battle begins. The alien ships launched small pods, sleek, fast, silent. They didn't shoot lasers. They dropped soldiers, strange ones, tall, faceless warriors in glowing armor. They moved like shadows, vanished, in light, fought without fear. Earth's troops struggled to hold them back. But Nova was already in the air. Her ship moved faster than any human could fly. She reached the outer ring of the fleet and boarded one of their ships, alone. Inside the enemy, the halls were alive. Not metal, not wires. More like muscle and bone. The alien ship breathed. Nova walked forward, her weapon ready. Then a voice echoed through the air. Not through speakers, but directly in her head. You are not their soldier. She turned. An alien stood, there, taller than the others, wearing no armor, holding no weapon. You are ours, he said. You were made to unite us. I'm not yours, Nova said coldly, and I'm not theirs either. Then who are you? The alien asked. Nova paused. She didn't know anymore. Meanwhile, on Earth, the alien ground forces were pushing forward. Cities lost power. Troops fell back. Earth was losing. General Rain watched from the tower, silent. Where is she? An officer shouted. She's doing what no one else can, Rain replied. Ending this, from the inside. Back on the alien ship, Nova reached the command core, a glowing chamber, pulsing like a heart. She didn't attack. She just stood there and let it see her. Her blood, her mind, her memories, and the ship stopped. Everything around her went still. A message pulsed from the ship through the entire fleet. The bridge lives. The war must pause. The result: the alien army stopped mid-battle. No surrender. No peace. Just silence. They returned to their ships. Earth's people stared, stunned. Nova returned to the moon base not as a soldier but as a question. Why had they stopped? Why had they called her the bridge? And most of all, what happens when both sides decide she's too dangerous to exist? The betrayal. They welcomed her like a hero. Applause. Cameras. Medals. Nova stood under bright lights at the Earth Union. Assembly. The war had paused. The aliens had stepped back and Earth praised her. The girl who stopped an invasion. The bridge between two worlds. But while the crowd clapped, Nova saw their eyes. Smiling lips. Cold stares. They were not celebrating her. They were studying her. Hours later, in a hidden lab beneath black rock, two scientists whispered in fear. Her cells are changing, one said. The alien DNA is growing stronger. She's becoming something else. At night, in Nova's quarters, she couldn't sleep. Her dreams were filled with strange voices, silver skies, and a burning planet. She woke up sweating, and she wasn't alone. Lights, she whispered. Nothing. The room stayed dark. Suddenly, shh! Needle slid into her neck. She fought back, hard. But the gas hit her fast. Her knees dropped. Darkness swallowed her. Underground holding facility, unknown location. Nova woke up strapped to a metal table. Her armor was gone. Machines beeped around. Cold lights above. Behind glass, Earth's top generals and scientists watched. Even General Rain stood there. Silent. Nova's heart cracked. Why? She asked, her voice raw. One doctor answered, We had to be sure. You could be a threat. You used me, she whispered. No, Rain said, voice low. We made you. The files don't lie. They showed her everything. Project Nova wasn't a rescue. It was a plan. To create the perfect soldier. They didn't just find her in the wreckage. They caused the crash. They wanted alien DNA. They took it and built her. Her mother tried to protect her, but Earth stole her. You're not our enemy, one general said, but we can't risk you joining them. Nova stared at him. You don't get to decide who I am anymore. She escaped. Of course she escaped. She was faster, smarter, stronger. The walls couldn't hold her. The guards didn't see her coming. She didn't kill them, but she made sure they remembered what fear felt like. Outside Blackrock, Nova ran not from war, not from aliens, but from the people who claimed they raised her. They had betrayed her. Twice. First by lying about her past, then by locking her in a cage. She couldn't go back. But where could she go? Far from Earth? In deep space, the alien fleet waited in silence. They hadn't moved since the ceasefire until now. One ship turned on. A voice spoke in their minds. She is awake and alone. They started moving again. This time, not as invaders, but as those who remembered her mother's name. In a burned forest on Earth, Nova stood alone. Winds howled through dead trees. Rain fell. She dropped the last piece of her Earth armor in the mud. She was no longer a soldier, no longer a weapon. She was something new, and whatever came next, she would choose it herself, the other one. The explosion came from beneath the city. At first, people thought it was an earthquake. Then fire tore through the streets. Buildings collapsed. Sirens screamed, and in the middle of the chaos, he walked out of the flames, tall, silent, eyes glowing red, not alien, not human, something in between. Hours earlier, a hidden Lab 2 doctor stood over a sealed pod. Inside was a boy, about Nova's age, pale skin, muscles grown in perfect symmetry. A scar shaped like a lightning bolt down his chest. One scientist whispered, "Are you sure we can control him?" The other didn't answer. She just pressed activate. The pod opened. The boy sat up, eyes wide. Then, he smiled. They called him Zero, born from the same alien DNA as Nova. But unlike her, he wasn't raised to be a protector. He was trained in a cage, fed commands, given pain, taught to kill. Where Nova had love, Zero had rage. Meanwhile, in the Yao forest, Nova sat by a fire alone. The stars above her were quiet, but her heart wasn't. She felt something, like a sharp pulse deep in her chest. A presence, familiar, but wrong. She closed her eyes and saw him. At Blackrock Base General, Rain slammed his fist on the table. "You woke him up?" An officer panicked. "He was insurance, in case Nova turned." "Nova walked away," Rain shouted. "He'll burn everything." Alarms blared. On the screen, Zero walking through a ruined city. Hundreds dead. No mercy, no pause. Nova returned. She arrived at the edge of the city as ash fell like snow. People ran, soldiers fired, nothing stopped him. Nova stepped forward. He turned, to face her. For the first time they saw each other. "Same blood, different purpose, you feel it, don't you?" he said softly. "We are not like them." "We're not like you," Nova replied. He grinned. "They caged us both. You forgave them." I remembered. They fought. It was fast, brutal, like lightning and thunder clashing in the sky. Nova moved with grace. Zero moved with fury. The city watched their war from rooftops, cameras, drones. Two beings made in Earth's secret labs, but only one still had a heart. Nova fell. He was stronger than her, not because of his power, but because he had nothing to lose. He threw her into a wall. She crashed to the ground, bleeding. He walked up, raised his hand. "This world belongs to us," he said. "Join me or die with them." Nova coughed. Her vision blurred, but she smiled. "I'd rather die with them than become you." Then, something changed. A sound in the sky. A ship. Alien. Silver. It hovered above the city, light glowing from beneath. From it descended a figure. Tall, female, glowing like starlight. The crowd gasped. Zero looked up. "Mother?" he whispered. Nova's mind froze. She didn't understand, but deep down she knew what was true. Zero was not just like her. He was her brother. The last stand Earth sky was no longer blue, it was silver. Hundreds of alien ships floated above the planet, silent, glowing, waiting. Below, cities stood still. No traffic, no war, just silence. The calm before history breaks. And in the center of it all stood Nova, alone. The voice that changed everything. The alien figure who descended from the sky wasn't a weapon. She wasn't an enemy. She was Nova's mother, alive, hidden for years, and now returned. Not for revenge, but for peace. Nova dropped to her knees. Tears fell. Her whole life, she thought her mother was gone. But she was watching, waiting for the right time, waiting for Nova to choose. Across the ruins, Zero watched. He didn't kneel. He didn't cry. He only whispered, "She chose you." His eyes glowed with fury. "She left me in the dark." Nova stood slowly. "She never knew about you," she said. "They lied to her too." Zero shook his head. "No more lies." He raised his hand. The earth cracked. Alien tech fused with human metal rose from the ground. A machine of war built from everything Earth tried to hide. "This world doesn't deserve to live," Zero shouted. "I'll burn it clean. All." Forces mobilized. The Earth Defense Army launched its final wave. Alien warriors dropped from the sky, not to invade, but to protect Nova's mother. And Nova? She flew alone toward her brother. The sky turned to fire. The final battle. Nova and Zero met above the Atlantic Ocean, where the water boiled from their power. He fought with hate. She fought with hope. Each strike broke clouds. Each hit cracked the sky. People across the world watched on every screen. Two hybrids. Two choices. Nova fell again. But this time, she didn't get back up right away. Zero stood over her, his hand glowing with energy. He hesitated. Nova looked into his eyes. "I forgive you," she whispered. Zero's hands shook. The rage in him flickered. The voice of their mother echoed in his mind. "You were not born to destroy. You were born to choose." Then, the decision. Zero screamed. The energy in him exploded upward, not toward Nova, but into the sky. He turned his weapon away and destroyed the war machine he created. He collapsed. Nova caught him before he hit the ground. He looked up at her one last time. "I just wanted to matter." "You do," she whispered, and he closed his eyes. 1 week later, the war was over. The aliens left, not as enemies, but as allies. Earth began rebuilding, not just its cities, but its truths. No more hidden labs, no more hybrid soldiers. Nova stood in front of the United Earth Council. They offered her medals, a rank, a command. She shook her head. "I don't belong to Earth," she said. "I belong to everyone." Final scene. In deep space, Nova now pilots her own ship. A mix of human steel and alien light. She carries a message across galaxies. That peace is possible. That humans can be more than survivors. They can be hope. Because once, Earth raised a girl, in secret, and the universe will never forget what she became. ND.